I'll call our Thursday, August the 21st council meeting to order. We'll start with the adoption of the agenda. Councillor Isaacson.
Move adoption.
Seconded by Councillor Elliott. All in favor? Passed unanimously. Consent agenda.
I think we have a
Sorry,
motion.
I'm on the wrong page. Let's move to the motion to close the meeting to the public.
Can make that motion. I move that council move into a closed meeting to discuss matters covered by the community charter under sections 90, i.e. the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvements if the council considers that disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality, and 2B, the consideration of information received and held in confidence relating to negotiations between the municipality and a provincial government or the federal government or both, or between a provincial government or the federal government or both and a third party.
Seconded by Councillor Elliott. All in favor? Thank you. We'll now move into our
Um, Hey, Jim, can you turn this check around a bit? Sorry, Councillor Palm. Thank you. So, Powell River Community Forest, we're pleased to be here to present our 2024 dividend check in the amount of $3,728,653 to council for deposit into the Community Forest Reserve Fund. Ceremonial. We have the ceremonial check here. I think the real one maybe went to Sundance. So if you don't see him on the Monday, you'll know what happened there. So this 2024 dividend added to the large amount of existing uncommitted money in the fund likely results in the highest ever amount of monies in the fund available for community grants. So that's a good thing. This 2024 dividend is a bit of a drop off from 2023, which was a record year. But our board is just as proud of the decisions we made in this stretch of what has been economic uncertainty, which included the forest sector. Fortunately, in 2023, we retained monies in reserve to balance what was expected to be a tough 2024 year. So that's a big part of why we're able to produce a large check. Throughout the last 2 years, a lot of great work was done to ensure we had options to respond in a very short timeframes to opportunities which presented themselves in a poor log market. I know Chris Lang, our forest manager, is here, and a lot of credit goes to him for not only our high level of forest practices, but putting us in a position for financial success every year. It's not just a check. For us, it represents an opportunity to support a lot of great projects, big and small, which move our community forward. We enjoy the interactions we have with community groups during the grant application process. And being results-oriented ourselves, it's very satisfying to us to track progress from the award of grants, like tonight, to completed projects. You will see further in Council's agenda additional community forest funding being proposed for 2 of the city's previous grant projects there. Powell River Community Forest supports those top-up grants outside the normal grant review process because these projects are ready to proceed. And hopefully that signals a shift to make a push to clear off the backlog there. We're happy for the community groups who are receiving spring 2025 community forest grants. We are also disappointed for some of those groups that we recommended for grants which council did not approve. And we also understand some groups receive partial grant funding, and that will require an alteration of plans. I know we spend quite a bit of time with applicants, so I just want to make sure we're sorry for any expectations that we may have created when our board reviewed your applications directly with you, especially those where we work together to adjust the project scope and the grant amount requested there. So these were spring 2025 grants with an application deadline of April 1st. So we've taken a little longer this year, but happy to be able to have the mayor invite grant recipients to step forward there. We still have some issues to work through on where we expect the grant process to go in the fall, and we'll be doing that in the following weeks here. So is Callie here? Maybe Callie, you can just say a few words about the paper side of things. And
Thank you, Greg. Yes, I'm here today with the paperwork for each of the organizations. So as you come up to say a few words, I'll be handing you your contracts for you to have a read through and come back to us with any questions or comments. And I look forward to reaching signed agreement with you so we can proceed with issuing funds. Thank you.
Okay, one hint there we've learned from the past is take the paperwork, work on it, get it signed, hand deliver it, keep the process working. Otherwise, it can get stretched out, especially this time of year when a lot of people are away and on both sides of the agreement there. So get on them as you pick up the paperwork there. At this time, we'll turn it over to Mayor Wasnow to invite recipients to say a few words. And we normally do a quick photo op, and Angie Smith is here in the back. And with council's permission, we can do that after, if we got time, after Mayor Wasnow goes through this process. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll start and we'll invite Powell River Farmers Agricultural Institute to come forward.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Institute, we appreciate these funds. They're going to be used to put a concrete floor in our exhibition Quonset hut. We did receive partial funding and we're very grateful for that. And we're working with securing the other half as well. And then we're really hoping that facility can be used for additional purposes and provide additional accessibility to people in wheelchairs and with walkers and strollers as well. The ground is a little uneven in there right now. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We have the representative of the Cathett Parks and Wilderness Society.
Thank you. For the Cathett Parks and Wilderness Society, the funds will be used to complete the upgrades of the Mount Trubridge Summit site. We did a lot of work on that last year. We're going to complete it this year, and it will become a kind of another go-to site for people using the Sunshine Coast Trail. The trail usage has been pretty heavy this year. There's a lot of people out there hiking and enjoying it, and we're going to use this to make it even that little bit better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Powell River Health Care Auxiliary.
Hello, Council. Thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Dave Bradseth, and I would like to thank you on behalf of the Healthcare Auxiliary for this opportunity to upgrade a building that we have recently purchased. It will come in very, very handy. As you know, this organization has been part of Powell River for 80 years now, and this is our 80th anniversary this year. So this will be a wonderful addition to the community. We've been renting for 80 years. Not renting anymore. Thank you very much.
Powell River Lawn Bowling.
Thank you so much for granting us these funds. Powell River Lawn Bowling Club has been in the city for over 100 years. And so we are really looking forward to getting some improvements done. We're getting some work done on a chimney. We're getting some concrete work. We're getting a wheelchair accessible bathroom on the main floor. And we only got a partial grant, so we had lots of other plans too, but for sure we're going to be working on those things, and we can't wait to work with local contractors. So thank you.
Thank you. Timberlane Fine Arts Association.
Hello, and thank you on behalf of the TFAA. We did receive a partial grant, which we're hoping will upgrade some health and safety concerns that we have in the facility that we have been running for over 75 years now. We were hoping to do an extension to the building to be able to accommodate some more potters, as we have a 50-person wait list. But we will do our absolute best with this to upgrade and make everything healthier and safer for our artists and working at the studio. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Willingdon Creek Village.
Hi, my name is Jackie Milsom. My mother was a resident of Willingdon Creek Village. We visited her daily and became aware that there was no area on the facility grounds for outdoor visits. So my dad and I began exploring the possibility of purchasing a bench and having it placed outside, but the facility didn't have the funds to support the concrete work that was required. So since then, my parents have both passed, but I felt compelled to continue to pursue funding for this project. So I will be purchasing a bench in their memory, and the community forest funds will be used to pay for another bench, concrete work, and additional trees and shrubs to help beautify the area. Thank you for helping to make this vision a reality. This funding will provide residents and their friends and family with a place to spend time together outside the confines of the facility, promoting a natural break from institutional living. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we're not certain whether there's a representative of the Backcountry Horseman Society of British Columbia, Fall River Chapter. The Lang Bay Community Club. Oh, sorry.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm Carol Herder. I am the Secretary Treasurer of the Lang Bay Community Club, a nonprofit society.
Could you pull that a little closer?
Sorry.
Thank you.
We're a nonprofit society, and our volunteers have supported and maintained Lang Bay Hall since 1946. So we're almost as old as some of these other organizations. So occasionally we have to ask for additional support to maintain the building. The building is 105 years old and is still looking pretty good. And it is definitely a benefit to the community. We are thankful and grateful for the past support of the Powell River Community Forest. In the past and now in the present, they value, obviously, the benefit that some of our organizations bring to the community. So we are certainly thankful for their contribution. We were a little disappointed that City Council didn't approve our full grant recommendation, and the grant is for the heating and cooling of Lang Bay Hall. So we got a partial grant. So for that, we are certainly thankful, and we thank you for that. But just before I go, I'm looking around at council, and I wonder how many of you have actually been in Lang Bay Hall. You don't need to put your hand up, but I do know that I do see 3 of you that have actually attended some of our events. So I encourage you to step out of the city limits and visit us south of town. So again, thank you so much.
September cribbage tournament.
You and I have been your partner.
Okay. Powell River Academy of Music. Do I see Walter anywhere in the group?
Thanks again. I didn't introduce myself last time. When I was up here before, I was Tom Collizar, Director of Cathett Parks and Wilderness Society. Now I'm Tom Collizar, Vice President of the Academy of Music. This grant is going to go a long way to making that building and that facility viable into the future. The roof is pretty near the end of its life, and we need this to keep that facility going. And there's an awful lot of people going in and out of that throughout the year now. So thank you very much.
So Greg, where would you like to gather for a picture?
We have the option.
Let's walk quickly outside.
Nope. I don't like partial grants. Hey, I don't like partial grants, George. Is what it is. No, I don't like. You don't go for that. I said enjoy it. Oh. Oh, just go outside and get your picture taken. Life's too short for this. Oh, is that what's going on? Why is Bert's not there? I guess he can speak for. You're not going to go up? Oh, okay. Councilor Bob convinced me. I voted against the person. I see. Probably going to be a call. Oh, no, it's separate. That's separate from the non-profit. Yeah. Fine, yeah. Just trying to understand it, that's all. I was thinking of measures one. I mean, we can't control yes, music gets it. To be good news, though. It's too bad. I mean, ideally, we could get it back. Good. Ideally, we could get it back on to the spec. Right? I think there's a chance. Little nudge here, little there. You don't think it's good because there's money going to the contracts? Yeah.
it's an interesting process. It's not having been through the whole thing, it's pretty confident. Now would be a chance to consider. I was gonna say, now's the time to get a sandwich if you want. Nice. Yeah.
Just thinking what, maybe they're all bylaws.
Where'd Jim go to?
I don't know. I just saw him. Oh, he's back there.
Oh.
Talking to George.
Okay. We're going to move to the item 8, which is a public input period. So up to 3 members of the public have an opportunity to provide comment for a maximum of 2 minutes on items listed under legislative matters, committee recommendations, new business. Would anybody like to come forward? Okay, seeing none. Under general matters, we heard from Greg in the presentation of a significant check from Community Forest. And I would like to bring to everybody's attention another great news that we have. And that is we now have a chief administrative officer by the name of Sundance Topham, who has brought to us a considerable amount of experience, and we have benefit from that. So I would like to officially welcome Sundance, and I'm sure we're going to benefit as we move forward. Thank you. Okay, we'll move to general matters. The first one is a proclamation of the International Overdose Awareness Day. So whereas the City of Powell River does affirm and acknowledge the harm and hardship caused by drug overdose, and whereas we recognize the purpose of International Overdose Awareness Day as remembering loved ones lost to overdose and working with the community to reduce the risk of drug-related deaths. And whereas we resolve to play our part in reducing the toll of overdoses in our community, which claimed the lives of more than 2,287 individuals in British Columbia last year. And whereas we affirm that the people affected by overdose are our children, our parents, our siblings, our caregivers, our dependents, our friends, our chosen family, and are deserving of our love, compassion, and support. Therefore, I, Ron Wasno, Mayor of the City of Powell River, do hereby proclaim August 31st, 2025 as International Overdose Awareness Day in the City of Powell River. We'll now move to a delegation from the LIFT Community Services and the Community Action Team. regarding the impact of drug crises and local responses to it. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Jessica Colasanto. I'm the Manager of Community Resources at LIFT. And as part of my role, I facilitate the Cathet Community Action Team, or CAT. The CAT has been serving this community officially since 2019, although we were convening even before that. We're made up of representatives from VCH, Tla'amin Health, first responders, local government elected officials, the nonprofit sector, local business, and most importantly, our peers, people with lived and living experience of substance use. Our goal is to provide focused, action-oriented strategies tailored to local community substance use needs. We are also very fortunate to have an active youth CAT represented tonight by Naomi Harrison, who will say a few words in a moment. Naomi is the gifted artist who designed these beautiful screen-printed shirts for us. We're here tonight to raise awareness about substance use overdoses and to honor the lives of those we have lost to this toxic drug supply. I know people's eyes glaze over when we start talking statistics, but between 2016 and 2024, our community had 936 overdoses as reported by BC Emergency Health Services and 85 overdose deaths as reported by the coroner. We know from these statistics collected that using alone drastically increases the risk of dying. We also know from looking at province-wide statistics that our overdose prevention site, along with other community supports such as complex care housing, dramatically improve people's chances of surviving an overdose and connecting to recovery. The number of overdose calls paramedics have responded to has been declining since 2022 in our area. And overdose deaths here have been trending downward since its peak in 2021. That's encouraging, but it's not enough. We say that stigma kills because stigma creates a barrier for people to access life-saving services. Stigma others them with myths like the magic school bus bringing people to town, when these are our family members and our neighbors. These deaths are completely preventable, and now is not the time to slow down on our concentrated collaborative efforts.
Hello, my name is Naomi. So in 2017, my brother Anton died alone in his room from a fentanyl poisoning. He was an artist like me who liked to write and play music. His death could have been prevented if he had had better access to clean and safe drugs, and if there had been less stigma around people who use drugs. Anton, like many others, never got the option to go into treatment because he died before he could have the chance. If you believe in funding treatment, please know that you must also fund resources like the overdose prevention site, drug checking, naloxone training, opioid antagonist therapy, and a safer drug supply, because otherwise there will be no one left to go into treatment. We'll have already lost our valuable friends and family members to this toxic drug crisis. Thank you.
In conclusion, as we approach International Overdose Awareness Day on August 31st, we ask everyone to join us in remembering those we have lost and holding their loved ones in our hearts. And we have a little bit of time. I'd like to just take a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see no questions, so thank you. Oh, excuse me, Councillor Elliott.
Not a question, but just wanted to really thank you for coming here and having your delegation and speaking your truths to the community today.
Thank you. We'll move to the adoption of the minutes of the regular council meeting. Sorry, we have a consent agenda. So do we have a motion on the consent agenda?
Yeah, I move that the August 21st, 2025 consent agenda be adopted.
Seconded by Councillor Doubt. Any discussion?
Actually,
Councillor Isaacs.
yeah, I just have one question through the mayor to staff. There's one of the options for us, including in the consent agenda, are items that have been unanimously supported at committee of the whole. And so I'm wondering if we'll see more items start to move under consent agenda. For example, like grants and aid tonight, maybe might fit under that category. And so maybe through mayor to a corporate officer or CAO, if that's on staff's mind for using the consent agenda robustly in the future.
Hello. Oh, good. Sorry about that. Councillor Isaacson, through the mayor. I believe the idea is to use the tools as robustly as possible. I would defer to a corporate officer in terms of timing restraints and whether it makes sense to be able to turn something around so quickly without muddling up the agenda. Maybe corporate officer Stephen Fleming could speak to that.
Thank you. Don't see my picture in chambers, so I don't know if you can hear me all right. Yeah,
Yes,
I would think for financial things, I think the consent agenda is a bit restrictive. I don't think the grants and aid could go under that, although certainly other items from committee of the whole could go on consent agenda more broadly than has been used to date.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion. All in favor? Passed unanimously. So 12.1 is a proposed bylaw 2774, Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Fees and Charges. Would like to speak to that. Councillor.
I believe that this has already gone through council a couple of times, so we're here for adoption, so I'll go ahead and make the motion. I move that City of Parks and City of Powell River Parks, Recreation, and Culture Fees and Charges Bylaw 2774, 2025 be adopted.
Seconded by Councillor Southcott. Any further discussion? Councillor Armida.
Just since we have a large gathering here today, so just for the community's awareness, council tasked our Parks and Rec team to see how they could increase revenues by about 10% or so over the course of the year. The changes that are being proposed here today account for about a 2.5% increase on current rates, and then they also staff were able to even out a few of the passes that are available so that there's a more level playing field for all the different passes that are there as well. So more information will, I'm sure, get posted in publications later on, but it was a fairly tiny increase compared to it's been, I think, a few years since rates have gone up with the complex.
Thank you. Next item, 12.2.
Still have to vote.
Call the question.
Sorry, I expected it was going to pass unanimously, but I'll call the vote. All in favor? Passed unanimously. Thank you. Budget amendment, new library upper stucco and stone cladding replacement project. Our project manager has provided a recommendation. Would you like to speak to that further?
Good evening, Your Worship. I can speak to that. Just a bit of background on the project. So we're here today to talk about the library stucco and stone cladding replacement. Tonight, we're just going to let you know about the RFP results that we did recently and request additional funding for the project. The project itself, as you know, the library has some issues with the existing veneer. And you can see that the barricades around certain portions of the library are in place right now as a result. That existing veneer is failing. Put together a RFP recently, and we ended up getting 2 bids. Both were over our existing budget. So the proposals were received on July 11th of this year. Like I said, we had two submissions. The low bid was $270,000. And the bidding contractors were reviewed and references checked. We found favorable references for the recommended bidder, which is Sioux Projects out of Vancouver, an Indigenous-owned company. Again, the references checked. The project covers replacing the existing facade with a hardy plank product and painting, and replacing any failure support areas as they go. The contractor, should council approve this tonight, they are ready to launch, I think, in September. So the first week in September, just depending on award tonight or not. The project is anticipated to take about 11 weeks from start to finish. And hopefully they're hoping to avoid as much wet November weather as possible. Again, we're looking to award it to Sioux Projects and looking for a budget amendment of $134,487 with the extra funding coming from the Community Forest Reserve. We did reach out for some comments from the Community Forest Reserve. Obviously, they've been supportive. They've got the letter attached to the item here, so we're pleased about that. And just wanted to recognize one person in the gallery, Mr. Brett Elsaldini, just our project manager on the project for the city. So with that, I'll open it up if there's any questions.
Okay. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you. What I'm wondering, and maybe some of the public might be wondering too, do we anticipate any disruption of services as a result of this project?
Negative. Nope.
Okay, thank you. And then this project was on our books before, and we've been a while trying to figure out many of the details. And we had a different budget set aside, and this additional amount that we required funding from with support of the community forest is what you're here to get approval for tonight. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you so much.
Chair.
Councilor Southcott.
Thank you, Worship. Really appreciate this. I'm very appreciative once again of the community forest offering funding to care for this critical asset. It is a bit shocking the amount of money that it's going to cost. I can think of a lot of things that $270,000 will buy. And my question was going to be, is there an alternative to the stone? But what I understand now is that what is going to be installed is entirely an alternative. I do have a stonemason friend, and we've discussed this problem, which I'm not going to go into. But so what is going to be on there is completely different from what's there now. I'm understanding.
Yes, through the chair, my understanding it's a hardy board type product, and it will be painted.
So we can assume that this is going to be fixed once and for all then. I'm hoping.
Through the chair, we certainly hope so.
We have a
Thank you.
recommendation. Councilor Doudt.
Just want to say I'm glad to see this project going ahead because it's been a long time. I think it's been since 2017 we've been looking for a solution to the outside of the library, and it'll be good to get that fixed up. I note that what we're talking about right now is a budget amendment to add to the Community Forest Reserve funds that are being spent beyond what was previously budgeted. And the total amount of money that we're taking from the Community Forest Reserve, which all comes from community forest income, is 312,837, if I'm correct. So that's spending down that reserve, which would be available for the future. But I want to say thank you to the Community Forest for providing that money and being able to put it all together.
Would anybody like to put forward the motion? Councillor Palm?
Yes, Your Worship, I'll put forward the motion and I just have a couple of comments. Sorry.
To the mic.
I will speak into my microphone. I will recommend that council direct staff to amend City of Powell River 2025 to 2029 Financial Plan Bylaw 2751, 2025 for the new library upper stucco and stone cladding replacement project in 2025 to increase the project budget in the amount of $134,487 with the increase funded by the Powell River Community Forest Fund. And Your Worship,
Just get a second.
do we need a seconder?
Councillor Almeida?
Thank you.
Councillor
Just a quick comment. This has taken some time and we are very sorry about that. The cladding or the protection around the beautiful new library that serves our community has been in place for a long period of time. And it's my understanding that we had to get through a lot of legal issues to deal with this and have a project manager in place that could handle its capacity issue that the city's been dealing with. And once again, as other councillors have alluded to, once again, our Community Forest Board steps forward and helps the city out in no uncertain terms. And we're very grateful for all involved to see this upgrade to our library. Thank you, Your Worship.
We have a motion on the floor. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. The next item, 12.3, is the budget amendment and recommendation for contract award, complex electrical upgrades and emergency backup system.
Thank you, Your Worship. Some background on this one. We're here to do something similar to the last one, provide council with an update on the request for proposal results for this project, request additional funding to complete it, and to award the contract for the project, which is the rec complex electrical upgrades and emergency backup system. So just a little bit of background on the project. It includes the removal of old and aging cabling and equipment, replacing these components with their modern equivalents. It also includes the installation of a backup generator for the rec complex as well, so that we can keep the ice cold in an event of a power outage, like the one coming up in September 14th. The project was put out for RFP and closed on July 9th of this year. We received one submission. It was from a local contractor, Falcon Electric. Initially, their bid was $1,347,000. After some negotiations with Falcon and a rethink of the approach, the new price of $1,260,000 was submitted. And the rethink, the change there was just changing the approach a bit, putting in a new electrical room, which ended up being something that could significantly reduce costs, mitigate some big risks with the project, and it reduced the downtime for our facility from 2 weeks down to about 3 days. So that was a good news there. Again, the increase in funds would be supported with your approval through the Community Forest Fund. And again, they were gracious enough to provide that letter of support. As far as the construction goes, if council approves, we would look to award, and they would start quickly with the design. So it would be designed from September to January. They would likely be on site, I think, near the end of the year, early next, and look for a completion in July of 2026 is when it would be completed, according to the plan. And there is some significant lead time on delivery for some of the equipment that we'd be looking to obtain as well. So September to January design and completion by July of 2026. With that, I'll leave it open for questions.
Any clarifying questions, Councillor Armida?
Thank you, Mayor. I was just curious with regards to timing. You mentioned shutdown, although I guess it was just a few days, you said, would be the entire complex shutdown. I was just curious, since the pool often shuts down for a couple of weeks already towards the end of August, if there was the possibility of timing the two shutdowns to happen concurrently.
I'll just defer that one operational question to our new manager, Kevin.
Hello, thank you for the question, and through the chair. Yeah, absolutely. I think staff are currently exploring the timing of the shutdown. Ultimately, it's subject to council approval of the amendment and stuff like that, but should that go forward, we'll begin to explore all efficiencies with the contractor, who's been very helpful and professional in kind of figuring out the alternative solution and way forward. Thank you.
Any further questions before the motion's put forward? Yes, Councillor Elliott.
Will our electrical upgrades save us power, and will we use less power at the end of it?
Through the chair, interesting question. I'm not sure we have an answer for that one. I don't think it was designed to do that. No, I'm just seeing a shaking of the head there. So it's designed to upgrade what's there and just make it modern. There are a number of systems that are very old. Should they go down, there's a long lead time, up to 10 months to replace some of that equipment. So this project would allow us to refresh, renew, upgrade all the existing electrical pieces.
Thank you.
We have two recommendations. Councillor Doudt.
I'll just the last comments brought up a question for me is what about the situation of tariffs, if there's components and things like that that need to be brought forward? And, you know, I wonder if there's been any consideration about how tariffs might or might not affect the future cost of the project. And total budget for the project, by the way, is 1.8 some million.
Sorry, you have to speak into a mic if you come up to the stand.
He'll come up. He's taller than me, probably. So I'd like to introduce, sorry, I'll loosen it here. Josh Cronin, our new project manager. So Josh is handling our bigger community forest supported projects. So I'd like to introduce him to you. So he's been doing a pretty good job of moving us forward on some of these bigger items. So with that, and then I'll let him answer the question.
Good evening, Council. My response to the question would be that Falcon Electric is already prepared to commence ordering some of the longer lead time equipment upon contract award, which would really happen between September and October. A lot of the purchases would happen like in the immediate future. I think realistically, we'd just be worried about labor costs largely moving into next year.
Thank you. Any further questions? Somebody care to put forward the motions? Councillor Elliott.
I would move the motion in the package. Do you need me to read it all out? Okay. I move that council direct staff to amend the City of Powell River 2025 to 2029 financial plan bylaw 2751-2025 for the complex electrical upgrades and emergency backup system project in 2025 to increase the project budget in the amount of $447,324 with the increase funded by the Powell River Community Forest Reserve Fund, and that the council awards contract number 2320-20-2350 complex electrical upgrades and emergency backup systems RFP number 1220-20-0668 to Falcon Electric Limited in the amount of $1,260,000 plus GST.
Seconded by Councillor Almeida. Any further discussion before I call the vote? All in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Now move to 12.4, which is Aquatic Center roof improvements. Project scope and 2025 Strategic Priority Fund grant application.
Your Worship, Josh is going to present this one tonight, and he's going to speak right into the microphone like this.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council. As Rod mentioned, I'm here to speak today about the Aquatic Center Roof Improvements Project, speaking about some of the cost escalations that we are anticipating since the project was incepted in about 2021, and to speak about the possibility of using this project to apply for the Strategic Priorities Fund grant application, which is open for 2025, and offers funding and values up to $7 million that are applicable to the type of project that we are taking on here. So as I mentioned, the recommendation from city staff today is that council approves the submission of the Aquatic Center Roof Improvements Project to the Strategic Priorities Fund, requesting the amount of $3,666,618 to allow us to complete a full scope, which I will get into in a second here, as well as council supporting the Aquatic Center Roof Improvements Project, willing to provide overall grant management and support of any cost overruns, and that council directs staff to amend the bylaw as noted in the report to capture the additional funding from the SPF Strategic Priorities Fund grant. So this project is a result of several consultant reviews throughout the complex, largely focusing on the roofing system of the Aquatic Center, initially noting that the open cell insulation is deteriorating and falling off the ceiling into the pool. That led us to locating many areas throughout the perimeter of the pool, in particular, where we're seeing extensive corrosion, which is deteriorating the structural steel to the point where it is a concern structurally and needs to be addressed sooner than later. Of course, the longer we wait to do this work, the worse it will become, and the more costs we'll be looking at to complete this work. The scope of this project is also intended to, including structural steel, it would include the SBS membrane of the roof, the structural or the steel decking below, deteriorating structural steel, as I had mentioned, and as well as replacing all the exterior metal paneling of the building, which we are seeing some failures in that have resulted in the building not being sealed properly, and potentially the risk in the future of some of those panels detaching from the building and obviously becoming quite the safety risk. So just to high level talk about the scope that's included and not included in this project, the main components are replacing all of the roofing materials, including the steel decking, replacing any deteriorating structural steel that is noted as a concern, replacing all the exterior metal paneling and adding a vapor barrier. There would also be some minor HVAC components involved, replacing failed exhaust fans, and a large amount of painting of structural steel just to ensure that what we have in there already is going to continue for years to come. One item that you'll also notice in the report that was submitted is that we were unable to review the under slab mechanical in this endeavor. Unfortunately, we're not able to procure any engineer for that service. So the intention throughout this project is to explore reinforcing that piping just to ensure that we do not witness any failures below that slab. The original plan for this project at inception was also to include some seismic upgrades as well. Based on an estimate that was provided to us in 2019, I believe for the pool, it was just over $2 million, which due to the inflation that we've seen since 2019, we anticipate that that's going to be well over $7 million. and not feasible with this current project, unfortunately. So as I mentioned, this project was reviewed by city staff to be submitted for the Strategic Priorities Fund grant, which is looking for projects that are large in scale, regional in impact, support the Canada Community Building Fund national objectives of productivity and economic growth, a clean environment, and strong cities and communities. This project was reviewed with a batch of about 8 other projects that were also considered for this grant, but after discussions, it was determined that the Aquatic Center roof replacement satisfied the most screening criteria of all the projects on the list and gave us the greatest chance for success in receiving this funding. The one point I would like to highlight is that the seismic work alone was considered for this grant as well. But due to the fact that there's no other funding streams already available for that project and the anticipation that the budget is going to exceed the $7 million available with the Strategic Priorities Fund grant, it was decided that it was not the project to move forward with. So in closing, as I started with, the recommendations are that council approves the Aquatic Center Roof Improvements Project for submission for the SPF grant application. The council supports the project and is willing to provide overall grant management and support any cost overruns, as well as amending the bylaw as noted in the report. If we do receive the approval to proceed on this, next steps will be for city staff to draft the grant application to be submitted to the Strategic Priorities Fund for review. Based on an application that was submitted in 2022, we're anticipating about 8 to 9 months to hear back on that grant. They unfortunately do not commit to any timelines on that, so it's a bit of an estimation. But once that grant application is rejected or denied, we'll be able to commence with an RFP for design services based upon the funding that's available and proceed with a feasible scope.
Thank you. Clarifying questions, Councillor Elliott.
Thank you, Your Worship. Really good information. The attached reports talk about the end of life of our facility being, you know, somewhere around 50 years, and we're nearly there. It talks about ways to extend the life of that. This particular project would be a life extending project for the building. Do you have an idea for us of how we can expect this project to translate into where our building would sort of expire with or without it?
Yeah, definitely. So the roof itself, you know, we can expect that we'd get, you know, upwards of 10 years for sure out of it, you know, potentially up to, you know, 15, 20 and beyond, depending on, you know, the degree of structural deterioration that we're witnessing below. And our ability to, you know, remediate everything versus, you know, an 80%, 90% job type thing. So I would say it will be substantial, would be my answer. Difficult to give you an exact figure just because there are, you know, a few other factors that will be involved here. The underslab mechanical for sure is one as well. But we do believe with the efforts that we take with this project that we should be able to, you know, confirm a viable, usable life for the pool.
Okay, thanks.
Any further clarifying questions? Isaacson.
Thank you, Mayor. Trying to figure out how to phrase this question. So I think that one of the conversations that this council and perhaps the next council will have to have is how much to invest in the current building, and at what point do we decide to invest in a new building, and so I'm wondering about the timeline of this and whether if we apply for the grant and are not successful, obviously that's kind of, it would strike a hard conversation about the feasibility of our rec complex. I also know that the building master plan is in this year's financial plan. I'm wondering about how this fits into the long-term thinking, and at what point would council have to initiate, or would staff bring to council the hard conversations about how much longer to invest in the current building?
Well, the unfortunate reality of today is new construction is extremely expensive. And I think especially for the type of facility that we're talking about here, if we do want to talk about constructing a new aquatic center, I think we're talking about, potentially a decade in the making, and a number that I do not want to guess at today. I can tell you right now it'll be much more than we're looking to spend on the pool roof today. Things have been a little bit crazy in the construction world, and I think everyone understands the world in general over the last 5 or so years here. And I would hope that in the future things level off a little bit and improve. But for this project, we have been pushing to get. Reached out to several cost consultants to get future estimates for this project, and he had a few consultants cite that they're not willing to forecast pricing beyond 2025 because of the uncertainties that exist today. And so I think that with that in mind, potentially deferring this and looking at doing a pool in maybe like 10 or so years, that potentially is even something that's not within reach. My recommendation would be to do what we can to keep the existing building operating as long as we can.
Councillor Doud.
Yeah, so looking at the whole thing, this is a big project, and it adds our previous electrical wiring, basically, for the same building, the same rec center, is a significant amount of money. This is another project that's a significant amount of money. This is drawing down the community forest reserve again by 1.6 million, which is higher than the previous budget. And there is a limited amount in that budget. And I think if we go back to what we were told earlier in our budgeting process about possible costs of asset management for the building of adding up to somewhere between 16 and $52 million, and there not being enough in the community forest reserve actually to pay for all of that, I kind of share Councillor Isaacson's concerns about putting money in without having a thorough plan. But there's two things about the project that worry me. One is the amount of time it's going to take if we get that grant to put the project into action and to not incur too much new inflationary costs. The report says they're going up about 10% or 10.5% a year. If it's 2 years, that's basically another 20% cost to the project. And we are promising in this motion to take care of any future cost overruns, which could become big, and brings in my other concern about all the surprises that might be hiding under the membrane and under the roof when we take the membrane off and the roof off. What do we find for corroded beams, and how far are we going to go to finish that roof? So what do you think about the concerns about surprise things we might find, and the hope that the piping that works for the pool, the hoping that it's solid? What if that doesn't turn out?
We have built several contingencies into the funding that's been presented in the report here that should capture some of the uncertainties that we're talking about today, including based on conversation about the 10 to 15% forecasted cost to capture what we anticipate this project to actually cost in 2027. So there are, I believe there's in the range of 25 to 35% contingency, which is quite substantial, and we believe should be sufficient to cover those gaps.
Would somebody like to put forward the motions that staff have recommended? Councillor Palm.
Yes, Your Worship, I'll make the motion. I'll recommend that council approve the submission of a City of Powell River grant application to the Strategic Priorities Fund in the amount of $3,666,618 for the Aquatic Center Roof Improvement Project, and that council supports the Aquatic Center Roof Improvements Project, is willing to provide overall grant management and support any cost overruns, and that council directs staff to amend the City of Powell River 2025 to 2029 Financial Plan Bylaw 2751, 2025, to recognize $3,666,618 in grant funding for 2025, along with the associated additional project costs to support the Aquatic Center roof improvements project should the city's funding application be successful. And
Second by Councillor Southcott.
having said that, Your Worship, this has been in the queue for many years. And the original estimate at that time, when it first appeared, was for $6 million, I believe. So it's substantially more, but you can't put a value on health for the citizens of this community. And we all know that it's cost effective to upgrade facilities in this day and age than build new, which we haven't the money to do. So I wholly support this motion to keep that aquatic center in place for as long as we can in various formats. And I just have to say, I am very pleased to see that you're on the job, and I wish you would have been here a few years earlier. Thank you.
You and me both. Thank you.
Okay, we have Councillor Elliott and then Councillor Isaacs.
Thank you, Your Worship. I am in favor of this motion to apply for the additional funding in this grant opportunity. This, as others have mentioned, is a project that's been on the books and proposed for quite some time. The funding was identified and approved by the Community Forest Board a number of years back. It's part of what Greg Hemphill calls the backlog, that the city has approved projects on the books that haven't moved forward. And some of the reasons for that was lacking a project manager such as yourself to bring it all together, and also the fact that costs were rising faster than what we could get money budgeted for the project. And so I'm super happy to hear that we have contingencies. We're looking ahead to 2027, and we have a plan to move forward. I really hope that the grant is approved and we can follow this plan. Thank you.
Isaacs.
Thank you. I feel, well, clarifying question, and if we are not successful with the strategic priorities grant, then we decide what to do then and whether to proceed. There's no immediate other sources of funding, like grants that are available. This seems like a hard one to fund. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Yeah. I will support this motion in the sense that if we're successful, we're successful in bringing $3 million to our community and investing in an important community asset. If we're not successful, I think we need to take a hard look about what the future infrastructure of our community looks like, whether including recreation complex and city hall even. And hopefully we also have, by that point, some progress on the building master plan and how it all fits together. Because I'm not completely comfortable with this, but weighing all options, I'm on the side of supporting it. Thank you.
We have a motion on the floor. See no further discussion. Move the motion. All in favor? Passed unanimously. Thank you very much. We'll now move to
thanks for coming,
a couple
everybody.
minutes. Okay, item 14 is committee reports, and there's a standing committee on city-owned properties for pickleball facility meeting held June 26, 2025, and the minutes are included. Move to 15.1, which is city property for pickleball facility. And this is referred from the Committee on City Properties for Pickleball Facility. We have the report that's been circulated. As chair of the standing committee, I would like to thank councilors and the members of the public that participated in that and brought forward a recommendation, which I'll now read, and that City Council directs staff to prepare a report on the sale of the Timber Lane property identified as Lot 15, Lot 36, District Lot 450, Group 1, New Westminster District Plan 14728 to the Cathett Pickleball Association. There's a seconder, Councillor Almeida. Second? Yeah. Any questions? Councillor Elliott and then Southcott.
So I think it's great that we're going to move forward with a report. And I'm interested in the report for options. If we, for example, do a sale deal that is less than market value, that protects the city's ability to maybe have first right of refusal if they should decide to try to sell it again later on. If it's a lease we're doing, I guess we're protected from that anyways. But I'm wondering if whoever is writing this report back to us could consider those concerns in the report.
Councillor Isaacson.
I think there was another question before.
Councillor Doubt.
Well, anyway, I'll support this motion. I think it's obvious that a pickleball facility has widespread support. Everybody wants one. Everybody who plays pickleball wants one, and everybody thinks about it. The land is another question. Okay? I'm frankly not in favor of the concept of the city selling land. I think it's the oldest quote in the world that I've heard is keep your land because you're not making anymore. The city has had a whole bunch of requests for land. Some of them have been quite long-standing. We've got Prowls, the wildlife rescue that's been asking for years for some city-owned property to use. We've got the Hospice Society, which has come to council and asked to have some property to set up a hospice for the city, for everybody there. Who is the other one? We've had several of those anyway, and I think we need to think about all of those when we're making decisions on how we dispose of the land. For example, we leased some land on the airport property to someone who's going to build a hangar and put up a business. And one of the conditions of that was for the lease that they actually build a building that could be used for industrial purposes. And if they didn't start on a certain time, they didn't complete on a certain time, the land would revert back to the city and we would keep our ownership in that property. So I would generally prefer leases. If we're going to sell it, I'd like to look into the kind of things that Councillor Elliott has talked about, is making sure that the city gets fair value for the property, that if a facility is not built, that the city gets the property back, as opposed to it ending up in the hands of private individuals who can sell it to a developer or whatever they want. So I'd like those things to be thought about. How are we going to treat other groups that have asked for city property? Are we going to ask for first right of approval or refusal for reacquiring it? What are we going to do about whether or not it's offered to just one group or whether it's offered for sale to whoever might want to bid on it? So I think we need to think about those things, and I look forward to the report. I'm going to vote in favor of asking staff for a report.
Councillor Isaacson and Councillor Southcott.
Thank you, Mayor. My question is related to the expectation of a report would happen in the fourth quarter. Kind of alluding to what Councillor Doubt mentioned, we have older motions that have asked for staff reports related to use of land and affordable housing and city-owned properties. And now that we have a little bit more capacity in the planning department, I'm interested in those, and I don't prioritizing this above other ones that council has also deemed important related to affordable housing and other things. It's not that one is more important than the other, but we've gone through processes to express our interest to get reports from staff already related to city-owned properties. And maybe my question through the mayor to staff is, Taking a look at some of the backlog of motions, and now that we've got a bit more capacity in terms of the manager of city development, how does staff prioritize acting on previous motions of council? Thank you.
Good evening, council. Through the chair to Councillor Isaacson's question. I think that's a great question and one that staff ourselves often find in need of some prioritization. So that would be something for council to consider and give clear direction to staff. Which of those many motions related to city-owned property is paramount? Which report do you want us to come forward with first? I've had 9 days with our newest member of staff, and she's doing an amazing job, but that is only 9 days. So again, I would look to council to provide some direction. Are we looking at, which motion was made first? So we're looking at, or are there priorities? Thank you.
Councillor Southcott.
Thank you, Worship. My first concern, Councillor Elliott articulated and Councillor Doubt re-articulated. So I'm not going to go there. My second concern is the question of slope. I remember back a few years that there was intended to be a study of that piece of property. I believe it was that piece of property for slope considerations. And I wonder if that was done, or if it's still a consideration, or we have even remembered, or I'm just wrong about that. So that's my question to staff, I guess, through the mayor.
Through the chair to Councillor Southcott. I might look to the acting director of infrastructure. I'm not sure. I can't say that there has been any investigation. I think you're talking about a geotechnical report. As far as I know, that hasn't been done. My very brief review of files related to the site indicates that there's been very little assessment done on this site whatsoever.
Yeah, I can comment that the committee members did do a walkthrough of the site, and there was a consensus that there was not a major slope issue that would be required from a construction point of view on that facility. Follow up. Councillor Doubt, then Elliott, then Isaacson.
Just listening to other discussion, I remembered the other piece of property that was being talked about. I talked about Prowls, that actually was asking for land to be used for the wildlife rescue actually before this term, and it was passed over to look at through this term. There was also the Hospice Society that I mentioned before, and I think it was October of last year I made a motion to look into leasing or selling the old golf course lands as a possibility of creating a conservancy. We were going to get a report from staff about that. Haven't seen that yet. So, I think what I would like staff to include in the report was how would the land be offered for sale if it was offered for sale? How would we prioritize decisions on city land when we have a number of different applicants? What do we do if what people wanted to use the land for doesn't pan out, it doesn't happen, and how do we make sure we protect the city's interests there? So those are the things I think should be covered in the report, and I know it's a lot to ask for, but I think it's important decisions we're making, because if you decide to sell land, you can't back up.
Sir, and Isaacson and the mayor.
So there is some confusing information in the pickleball minutes and the reports versus the location outlined in yellow in the map. Just so clarity, I'm asking those members on the committee if you were clearly talking about the side of the Timberlane Park facilities that are on the slope side and not the side that's near the power lines, because there seems to be information that is contradictory. Which one?
To the left, the existing building.
if we can just.
Mr. Almeida?
If we can elaborate on that. Originally, there was a little misconfusion or misunderstanding at the prior pickleball committee meeting, and the land that you're referring to, which is between the barracks and the pole line, was the property that was first looked at by mistake. And then it was realized that that property is not a city property. It's actually privately owned in a much bigger parcel of land. And it's actually the one that's in the plan today that's on the opposite side of the barracks that is available and owned by the city, and probably a property that has fewer usage abilities, which is probably why it came through as the committee recommendation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. A follow-up to, through the mayor to Director Gao about seeking council direction. So if this motion passes, I think Mr. Topham you've spoken about, or we've talked to individual councillors maybe about coming back to us with assessing priorities. And so I'm wondering, what might that direction look like? And how do we get there, whether or not this motion passes?
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. What I would recommend is that, based on the history of motions that have been passed by council, and it sounds like there are a number that are related to land and use of city land, if this one was passed, it would go into the bucket of them. And now that staff have additional resources, what we'll do is come back to council and ask for direction specifically within this portfolio. We need more direction from council on a number of things, including updates on strategic priorities, including a review of outstanding motions that are there. There's a number of things that I'm working on in the background that'll hopefully be coming to council in October. In terms of this specific file, though, I would say that what we can do is bring forward a sort of bucket of the motions. We'll have to see what can be enclosed, what has to be in open, et cetera, and get some direction from council about where to move forward on it. Again, not knowing the full history, some of these might have been started already. I'm not too sure. So I'll be working with staff to be able to do that, but it'll go. So if this motion is passed, it's not like it automatically jumps to the front. That deadline or that expected date in there, it was like the soonest we would possibly be able to move something forward. But we will be coming back to seek further direction.
Sir.
Your worship, I just want to clarify for everybody at this table and in the audience, what motion is on the floor here? Is it the motion that was in the minutes of the standing committee that you're dealing with, or is it the motion in 15.1 that is recommended? I'd like to know. Which motion are we dealing with?
15.2.
15.1?
15.1.
Yeah.
15.1, the sale of property?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So being on the cabal committee, or the standing committee, we've had numerous discussions. Various properties were talked about, and this is the one we came to consensus on. There are still a number of outstanding questions on this property. There's no doubt in my mind that is the case. So I very much look forward to the report that will be coming forward from staff down the road, and then we'll be able to deal with this in an informed manner, which is what we should be doing. But it's my understanding we're asking for sale because the society, if they own the property, have a much greater chance of raising funds to build the facility. And that's number one. If we don't have the money, it doesn't get built. It's that simple. It's not going to be cheap. So you have to approach the lottery corporation, whoever that has $1 million sitting around in order to do it. You got to be realistic here. So I very much support the facility because my inbox has been filled to the brim this past week. Everybody seems to be weighing in on this. They want the facility. It's the fastest growing sport in North America. Everybody's playing it, and you know who it targets the most? It's all of our seniors that need to move. And that, in my mind, in this community, is very much needed. Support of our senior population. Having said that, I applaud you all for being here. And there's one gentleman in the audience tonight that said to me prior to the meeting, Your Worship, I am here to support pickleball because it's my therapy since I have Parkinson's. That says it all. We need our seniors moving. Thank you very much, Your Worship.
So I'd like to comment at the end. I think some of you know that for the last 2 years, I've been talking with mayors around the province who have had pickleball facilities go into the community and the very positive impact it's had. And Vernon, for example, provided not only the land, but some additional funding for that facility. The importance of this facility is that it's an opportunity for all ages to come together. So you can have 10-year-olds playing with 60-year-olds. And so when we look at some of the issues around our community, which have people isolated, young people isolated from a variety of groups, isolated from recreation that they can share with other people, I think that's extremely important. The other important factor is we have more land on average than any other community in Powell River and in BC. So this morning I met with Ron Osus, the mayor of Golden. He was in awe that we have 160 city-owned properties. They are trying to buy land. The city is trying to buy land so they'll have. And I've heard this story continuously. Why aren't you using the land that you have? We would love to have any land, 2 parcels, 3 parcels, and you have 160 parcels. So I'm just urging council to put into perspective the large amount of land that we have, which is not generating any revenue, costs us because of maintenance. This is an opportunity to do a number of things. It supports the community objectives in our strategic plan. It will result in a reason for other people to come to Powell River, to live here, to work here, and it will also generate a lot of revenue for our variety of different commercial facilities here, whether it's restaurants or whatever. So in a nutshell, to me, everything I've heard in the province is we will see significant benefit if we proceed with this motion. Councillor Soka.
Thank you, Your Worship. I really appreciate the passionate words that have just been spoken, both by Councillor Palm and you. And I'm convinced that we all absolutely support pickleball in this community. I just want to say that my concern for perhaps the difference between sale and lease could be has to do with the airport land that we leased for 100 years. Now, and the difference here is that sale costs money, lease doesn't necessarily have to. If the city wants to support this as a worthwhile recipient support of our whole community. So there's a difference there, or maybe there is, maybe there isn't. And this is what I want. I want to know what the difference could be between lease and sale in the report that we receive from staff. Aside from that, I absolutely and wholeheartedly support every reason why pickleball is such a good idea in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to propose an amendment to the motion after the word sale to add or lease.
I would second and speak to that if I could.
My rationale for doing this is speaking to some of the, not necessarily concerns, but just questions that we have on council. I know that the recommendation of the committee focused on sale. I've heard a number of expressions of interest to understand leasing and hearing from our staff on those differences. I think council has made a history of motions in support of using city-owned lands. I think now we have an opportunity with this new position and the new manager of city development, who's been in the job for 9 days, stellar individual with a lot of impressive experience behind her in the private property development market. I would like to, see this in conjunction with other reports back from staff on city use of land or use of city-owned land, because pickleball is such an asset to the health of our community, and also there are other huge assets to our community that that deserve consideration, and we've already passed motions on. So it's, for me, this is a yes and. I support this. Speaking to the amendment right now, I support this motion with an amendment such as this, adding the words "or lease," in conjunction with this bucket that CAO Topham has mentioned before. Thank you.
So, Councilor Elliott and the mayor.
Yes, sir. So I'm in favor of the amendment because, yes, we very well may think that selling is the best option, but in reality, making decisions like that should be well informed as to what your options are, and having a report cover the options in a fulsome way is going to add to our ability to have confidence in the decisions that we make down the road. And some of the things that I am concerned about might not be as much of an issue in a lease, but there may be equal ways to take care of them through covenants or some such thing through a sale. But if we are to make a good decision down the road, we should have all the information in one report before us. And this seems like a good amendment.
Thank you. So I will not support the amendment for the following reason. The standing committee, consisting of 3 council members and 3 members from the public, agreed that it probably would not be feasible for the Pickleball Association to raise the money required to make this facility happen. And we had discussions as to how the city can be protected. There are a number of ways which the land would revert to the city with a facility on it, so that the city would end up with a good asset, much more than what it currently has, if for some reason in the future, 10, 20 years, that the Pickleball Association decided not to. And again, we have 160 properties. So if we refuse to look at a recommendation from a committee with a solid basis for it to proceed, then we're sending a message that we're just not able to make a good decision. Staff will let us know when they bring forward an agreement that they see would be beneficial to the city and to the Pickleball Association. So any further, Councilor Almeida?
Thank you, Mayor. While I sat on the pickleball committee and I had no problem with the original motion, I also have no problem with the amendment. I kind of actually hope that staff would have included the or lease option just naturally, because we have a great staff team that always provide us with all the options. I'm no realtor expert, I'm no property expert, I'm no contract expert, and most of our committee was none of those as well. And so I think having both options in front of us, I think in most of our staff reports, we get 2 or 3 options in front of us, and having all the information provides council with gets a lot of questions answered, and then we have the information in front of us to make the decision at that point. So I'm in favor of the amendment as it is.
Councilor Siltcott. Discussion, Councilor Dowd.
Here's one I had that I've been in property discussions before on a number of different sizes of developments, and I've found it's possible to get leases for things like 100-year lease. It's possible to get mortgages and funding if you want to do that. I would say it's better to get donations for the property than to try to get a mortgage, but I've seen leases end up with mortgages on them, and as long as long as there's a solid rate of ownership in the property by lease for a long period of time. It's longer than the mortgage.
Any further before we call the motion? Call the motion. All in favor of the amended motion? All in favor of the amendment to the motion? As opposed? The motion passes. We'll now move to the motion as amended. Any further discussion before I call the question? All in favor? The amended motion passes unanimously.
Sure. Recess, Mayor. We're
Right.
at 8. Recessed.
Yes, we'll call a 4-minute recess.
Yeah. And you know, conversation that I had with her was generally lots of things, but I think this one was first. It's only stand alone. I mean, I don't know if any of them were there.
This is what drove her position. She came forward and said in a report. So there's a report that already does a lot of this, and then I'll just be adding the few we've received since then. But it was, we had 7 or 8 motions from council.
We started getting a report on?
Yes. Oh, and that's what started the.
I didn't realize that.
We need a manager.
Okay.
We can't take on all this work. So that's a good starting place for us. And
Okay. Well, good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I mean, to me, we just got this as part of the overall thing with these guys. What are we doing? Like, what is the priority moving forward when these one-offs come? But I'm glad that it's already in.
Your point about a bucket, I like that, because we really do need to probe all of the
We've got
buckets.
a way
that you guys
to go
go
yet.
there.
Yeah.
We need some direction.
Yeah. And I don't doubt we can do this for like 5 or 6 other buckets as well, but this is a live one. So let's start with this. I don't think you can hear anything.
These should be simple ones coming up. Essentially agreed on the grants and aid. RCMP is just a report and tourism, just a letter. Yeah. Simple. Yeah, what are the other two? Sunshine Coast Tourism, yeah. You just say. Councillor Palm said that. Councillor Palm said somebody in the Pickleball Association told him that they like pickleball because they have Parkinson's. Yeah. It was a roundabout endorsement.
Yes. Use it. Done a lot of research. Just this steel wall with a roof.
Yeah, but it was like. They were real.
Start to move back in, please.
Is it really wound down?
Okay, we're going to move to 15.2, which is 2025 grants in aid. Brought forward from the Committee of the Whole, August 19th. You have a recommendation?
I would make the motion, Your Honor, or Your Worship. I move that council direct staff to distribute the 2025 grants in aid in accordance with option 1 as outlined in Appendix C of the report titled 2025 Grants in Aid dated August 19th, 2025.
Councillor Southcott. Really?
We had good conversation at Committee of the Whole a couple of days ago. I'm in favor of the recommendation that staff have put forward because it seems the best way to distribute funds where some of the smaller grants are done in full and we have contribution to all of the grant recipients that meet the criteria in as equitably a fashion as possible. Some of the larger projects are not suited to a grant program that tends to give out smaller grants, but it does provide a contribution to those as well. And so I like it.
Any further discussion before I call the motion? All in favor? Passes unanimously. We'll now move to new business, 16.1, RCMP quarterly report. Oh, okay.
We had emergencies?
Yes.
Big entrance.
You're up.
Should we explain that to those listening online, what just happened? No.
Some things you just had to have been there for.
Good evening. I thought everybody might have been here to listen to me, but apparently that wasn't the case. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. Thank you very much for having me. Just want to bring some information about the first quarter of the RCMP detachment, just some of the things that we've been up to, and how our files are stacking up there. Do you have the? I sent the president.
It's in the agenda.
Okay, it is okay.
All there.
So I'll just go over some of the numbers that we have for the first quarter of this year. For total calls for service, this year we were 1,292 for the first quarter, which is down a little bit from the previous year, which was 1,381. For going into some specific types of calls, the first quarter saw 115 check well-being calls, which is down a little bit from the previous year, where we had 122. I sent it in and they don't seem to have it.
There you go.
Ah! Staff Sergeant Lee Dyson.
I think he's on slide 2 or something.
This working?
Yep.
There we go. There we go. Can we flip forward 2 more to calls for service? Mental Health Act. There we go. So Mental Health Act calls there's a slight increase. We're up to 40 this year from 33 the previous year. Unspecified assistance, which is calls that don't really fit into any other specific category, down to 52 from 65 the previous year. Missing persons calls, this year we're down by half to 7 from 14. I have a feeling that may go up in the second quarter. We've had a little bit of a spike with people being reported as missing on the trail and different things like that. Persons crimes, assaults, those sorts of things are down to 85 from 116 in the first quarter. And we seem to be trending in that same direction again for this quarter as well. As part of that, the assaults themselves, so physical assaults, are down to 31 from 50, which is a fairly significant decrease, 38%. Reported extortion files, we only had 1 in the first quarter, which is down from 3 in the first quarter of 2024. Sexual offenses were static from 5 for both year over year. Reported harassment calls, there's a slight decrease, 18 from 20 the year before. Uttering threats calls, down to 30 from 38, which is sort of where we've been seeing our trending in our persons files, files against persons. Overall property crime, so every crime that falls into sort of a property issue, are down to 178 from 221. It was quite noticeable early in the quarter, and there was a slight uptick at the very end, but not a serious increase. Bike thefts, basically the same, down from 1 to 6. Break-in enters, the total set of break-in enters is down by 39%. So we're trending down in every thing that we look at, sort of residential, business, and other areas, sheds and that sort of thing. We're having a decrease in that. However, our thefts so small thefts that aren't from as part of a BNE, there was a bit of an increase up 7 to 28 from 2024. Shoplifting is down to 12 from 38. This we can attribute to a couple of our prolific offenders are currently in custody and or just not in the area. Theft from vehicle, there's a 69% increase in that, up to 22. So it's still not a major problem for us, but we are seeing a little bit, and I'll touch on that a little bit further on. One of our units is working on that. Theft of vehicle, fairly static, up 1 from the year before. Frauds, we're seeing several different frauds now, especially online frauds. The current Mark Carney Bitcoin fraud has been lots of calls, not necessarily for services, just for some information and for some reference, and those sorts of things are creating some issues for us. Mischiefs are down, damage to property, those sorts of things where people aren't able to use their property that they have as a result of certain actions, down to 61 from 88. Drug offenses, other than trafficking, there's a fairly significant increase in that, and this we're up to 18 from 8, so an increase of 10 for the first quarter. And we attribute most of this to the effectiveness of our general investigation section, who has been out actively dealing with some of these issues and doing investigations that they're generating themselves. So it's not an increase of calls for service necessarily. It's where they're out and been extremely effective. That continues on the next page as far as we get to drug trafficking. We had 1 in the previous quarter of 2024, and we're up to 6. That involved at least 3 warrants that were executed on suspected drug traffickers. I know that last week there was 3 arrests for trafficking and another one just today before I came here. So that's again attributed to our general investigation section, which has been extremely active and getting out and using some non-sort of traditional methods and have been very effective. Weapons offenses up to 10 from 8. Couple of the high points, the body worn camera project has been delayed until October 2025. That we've been told now is a firm date, but it's been moved a few times in the last little bit. The rollout, from what we understand, has been going relatively smoothly throughout the division. However, the Lower Mainland portion of the rollout has been postponed. They don't have a date for that. And that's to allow the infrastructure to get built up to support that. New members coming to the detachment. We had a new member that showed up in June of 2025 who really is a rock star. He's done extremely well in the very big part of his training. I met with him and his trainer the other day. They were doing really, really well. And we have another new member slated to arrive in Powell River at the end of September 2025. Along with that, one of our long-term members has departed and is joining the full-time ERT team on the island, and that team is now fully operational. And as we mentioned last time we were here, the funding now for that, if they get called for here, is not dumped on the city. They have their own budget and they take care of that themselves. There's also a move underpinning that to try and have vessels that are on standby for them, so that in the event they have to come quickly, and if for some reason they can't get a helicopter or anything like that, there's vessels waiting to get them over here relatively quickly. As I noted, our general investigation section has been extremely effective. There's 1 corporal and 1 constable in the unit right now. We have another constable that's named to the unit, and he'll be arriving end of September and sometime in October, and arriving into that unit, and hopefully will even make their effectiveness that much more. We are in the middle of an adjustment of our watch scheduling. The current system that we have, in my opinion, and in looking at the numbers that we have, hasn't been serving the city or the district as well as we could. We're going to adjust that, which is going to have more people on the road at one time. So we're going to get away from just the call response and try to be a little more proactive, increase our visibility and our ability to operationally respond to calls. As far as long-term sick and GRW, we have no members right now on long-term sick leave. Everyone is returned to duty, which, as far as I know, we're the only detachment on the island that has that. We have 1 member on parental leave and scheduled to come back sometime in 2026. We have a few members that are working doing graduated returns, so they're being effective and they're sort of helping us to move forward. So that's been really, really good, and we're trending in the right direction. Have everybody fully working, hopefully by the end of 2025, early 2026. And one thing I wanted to mention that was really important is the municipal employees that we are lucky enough to have working in our detachment are phenomenal. I have never been in an office where they work as well together and are as productive and go-getter as we have here, and I can't say enough about how good that is. I had a chance to meet with all of our guarding staff the other day and got some ideas, and they were phenomenal. They're really, really good. Speaking of our of our guarding staff, it was announced yesterday that the IIO, the Independent Investigation Office, as of September 1st, will be taking over oversight of cell guards, which is a bit of a change for them. So we had some discussion about that, and we don't know exactly yet what that will do in the event of a serious injury or a death in cells. With any luck, we never get to find out, but we're going to be watching that real close and to see what happens there. And just for information purposes, as with us, as with regular members, the IIO also has oversight for off-duty incidents where there's serious injury or death related, and they can assert jurisdiction on those things as well, and they have in the past. That's it for me, unless there's any questions.
Thank you. Just before we get to the questions, the protocols requires, if we're going to continue past 9 o'clock, that there be unanimous approval of council. So I'm going to propose that we continue to 9:20 and ask if there is a agreement on that. The agreement. Do we have questions for Staff Sergeant? Councillor Elliott.
Thank you, Your Worship. I had a few curiosities and I wondered if I could ask a couple questions. Would that be okay? My first curiosity was when you talked about extortion, do those originate elsewhere or from within the community?
Those would be within the community. If there was an extortion that was from elsewhere, then it would be typically it would be sent to the detachment, the police of jurisdiction, wherever it happened.
Okay, well, the numbers were low, but I was curious about that. And then my last question was is there any word on whether in this community we would get scanning equipment for the ICBC switch over to not having stickers or anything like that? Because I know some people are wondering about that.
We are actually right now writing a business case to try to get a grant in order to purchase an ALPR, automated license plate recognition system, for the detachment. So,
but no word yet.
No word yet. We're still working on trying to get the funding for that. They're fairly expensive, and then there's training that has to go along with that and support.
And I wanted to thank you for the really positive feedback for the staff that work over in your office. Thank you for that.
My pleasure.
Okay, Councillor Isaacson.
Thank you. A couple questions of clarification. You mentioned drug trafficking numbers are up. Can you, I think it changes depending on the substance, but can you give a sense of scale of what counts as trafficking? From my understanding, we're not necessarily talking about like bricks of drugs, but it can be fairly small amounts more than for personal consumption. So can you tell me what the cutoff is, or what sort of amounts are we looking at for those offenses?
There's not really a cutoff. So the provincial rules for personal use, I may have this wrong, I believe it's 2.5 grams combined for whatever the substance itself is. What more comes into play is what goes along with it. So the way it's packaged, certain amounts of money, score sheets, things that may go along with that during the seizure that would then take it from a personal use amount to now you have it for the purpose of trafficking.
I'm thinking of examples where being a remote community, sometimes members in addiction, basically bulk purchase in Vancouver and distribute to their community here. And so it feels like it might count as trafficking, but is more of a, compassionate care situation. So I'm wondering about the offenses that you've found, what if any of them fit into that category of like bulk purchasing for in community distribution, like almost like a co-op as opposed to.
Yeah, I understand. The situations that we've had recently have not been that. It's been the person that we apprehended was working for somebody else, or that's our understanding.
Thank you. And a question through the mayor to staff actually about budget. Our financial plan, my understanding is our budget is often based on less than a full complement of RCMP because it's been so rare that we've had a full complement. And now that we're approaching that, how does this impact our financial plan this year?
Through the chair. So the budget is based on the number of FTE that is approved by council, and then the actual costs come in generally less at the actual number of officers that are on the ground. So the budget is based on the approved level, and then the actuals is what's actually happening.
Councillor Doat.
Simple question. First, thanks for coming and giving us the report. And it's good to see that in a lot of places crime is down from what it was last year. The drug trafficking, would you say that's up because there's more drug trafficking? or it's up because there's more people getting caught because of more investigations?
I think currently the situation is that we are being more effective and our members are out there being more proactive. So I don't know that there's an increase in the actual mean level of drug trafficking, just that they're being more apprehended. And if I may, just that one question from Councillor Isaacson. The members that are on long-term disability or on a graduated return to work are being funded through a provincial funding model. So that money would provide slippage.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Staff Sergeant.
One more question if we're on a second round.
All right.
Question about the General Investigative Unit and how it sets its priorities and whether it's intended to focus on drugs or whether it could focus on domestic violence or underinsured vehicles or weapons. How are those priorities determined?
So they're not specifically drugs. They're not a drug unit for that matter. As a matter of fact, one of the things that they've also been really effective on is apprehending prohibited drivers. And dangerous drivers, people driving vehicles, motorcycles, for example, without insurance or without licenses. So that has been one of the things they've looked at. And we look at sort of trends that if we're seeing, an increase in a specific offense type, then I would task them to pivot to deal with that. And that is the nice thing about that particular unit is that they're able to sort of shift their focus. For example, a couple weeks ago, they had a target in mind that they were going to be looking at, and then something else popped up. It was drug related, and they went over to that because it seemed to be sort of more active.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Staff Sergeant.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Council.
We'll now move to 16.2, which is the Sunshine Coast Tourism request for a letter of support, municipal regional destination tax application. The manager of city property.
Jessica.
Oh.
Change positions. Just kidding. I'm going to take this over for Ms. Cuthbertson tonight and defer to her if I need some support. But good evening, Mayor and Council. So this matter was referred from the June 19th Council meeting where Sunshine Coast Tourism requested a letter of support for their renewal application to be the recipient of the Municipal Regional District Tax, the MRDT, which is used towards regional tourism, affordable housing initiatives, and more background information can be found in the report. This letter is required for them to complete their application, and should they be successful, they'll be able to collect the tax at a 3% rate instead of the 2% they've been previously collecting. So tonight we just require council direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just have a question. When this first came to us, I recall thinking a little bit of time for folks to get back to us whether they had concerns would be a good idea. My question is, have we had any input from our hotel operators or the folks in our community about this decision?
Through the chair, nothing that's reached us, nothing that's reached staff that I know of. I don't know if Ms. Wise can speak to any feedback she's received.
Thank you. Hi, good evening. Annie Wise from Sunshine Coast Tourism. The feedback that we have to share on that is that as part of our application, we are required to secure a minimum of both 51% of all commercial accommodations, as well so the number, but also representing at least 51% of the commercial accommodation rooms. And to date, we've received that and then some. So this is the last piece of the puzzle in terms of filing our report or our application.
Thank you very much.
We have a motion, Councillor Almeida.
I'll go ahead and read it. I move that council approve the draft letter of support to Sunshine Coast Tourism set out in Appendix A for their renewal application to collect the Municipal Regional Destination Tax, MRDT, in our region for the next 5 years.
Seconded by Councillor Elliott. Any further discussion before I call Councillor Palm?
Thank you, Worship. my memory is maybe slipping in regards to the 3%, the 1% increase that will be asked for. Was that brought forward previously and council, was that part of the motion that we passed previously?
Through the chair, it was part of the presentation that Sunshine Coast Tourism made at the June meeting. So the option is to apply for or to collect 2 or 3%. So they've opted to collect the 3% this year.
So let me get this straight now because I'm a little confused. So it wasn't this council that went for 3%, it was the tourism board that voted for 3%? Is that correct?
Through the chair, yes, I believe so, yeah.
So it's up to us whether we're going to support that request or keep it consistent at 2%, which has been previous years.
Through the chair, the application is for 3%. There wouldn't be an option to just support the 2%. So they're making the application for 3%.
Oh, I see. Oh, like I understand it. Sorry.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We'll now move to public clarification, where members of the public may ask questions to clarify items discussed during the meeting for a maximum of 2 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Roger Whitaker, citizen of Powell River, and I'm just wondering what's going to happen to the rock that parts that they're taking off the front of the library. Are they going into the dump? Are they going to Vancouver with the contractor? Is the city going to keep them, maybe put them on a lower part of a building where they wouldn't be in danger? Give them away, auction them off? What's happening to them?
Ask our CAO to provide an answer.
The interim director of engineering could speak to that. That would be great. Thank you.
Test 1, 2. So I made it all the way up here to tell you that I can check on that for you and find out. So I know in the contract it does include disposal. I'm just not sure where it goes. We are not recycling them ourselves. There wasn't that kind of value in that product for us, but I can follow up.
Well, there's a second question to that. Where would I hear that answer from?
I refer to our CAO, who I'm sure will ensure that you will get an answer by email if you send an email to requesting it.
To him? To
Correct.
CAO?
You can send it to the info email address and it'll be directed to myself.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. Mr. Galinsky. Do we have anybody online? Okay, last call for anybody in the audience. I'm just going to have to ask council if they will approve a tune.
He can ask a musical question.
Sorry?
He can add some musical question to his lyrics.
Okay, we have a consensus that you may musically proceed.
Been there for 3 hours today in a sauna. I had to drink 3 packs of soy sauce. Anyway, this song's called, I don't even know the name, but here you go. Right with the devil, right with that Lord. Got no pistols, I don't need your soul. Got no army, I don't want your land. Ain't got nothing but the stone that's in my hand. Stone in my hand, Lord, stone in my hand. Ain't got nothing but stone that's in my hand. Say you want a revolution, better get on board. Start a new crusade, we'll start a holy war. Maybe Trump started that. Need your orders, I don't need your plans. Well, ain't got nothing but my guitar in my hands. Stone in my hand, stone in my hand. Well, ain't got nothing but stone that's in my hand. Built their fighter jets and they dropped their bombs. They hurt our mothers, they took our dads, they killed our brothers and our sisters and our uncles and our aunts. Some of us fighting here with the stones that's in my hand. Stone in my hand, oh, stone in my hand. Well, ain't got nothing but the stone that's in my hand. Blood runs the gutters, smoke fills that sky. There's a son that suffers, every mother cries. When you've had enough and you're ready for your stand, still I'm waiting here with my guitar in my hand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not sure that was uplifting, but.
It has to be. You got to take the downs with the ups, right? You guys need to fill a spot here for a musician. Let me know. Or it's $2.75 an hour.
Do we have a motion to amend